All right, welcome to a remote edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour.
Plastic cups, no.
It has been our thing to come to the Indiana Derby. Louis, this race has been very special to us.
It's been very special to us. Always great to be up here.
So special that we flew in Dan Issel.
We did fly in Dan. Whoa, it's Dan Issel.
Dan flew in himself.
That's not what I heard.
We flew in Dan.
I heard there's an appearance fee. I don't even know. Like, you know.
You should see the guy's hotel room that he got. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I don't know who paid for that.
I got the suite, baby.
And how's your hotel room, Louis?
The air conditioning started working around 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
How about that?
There you go.
We discovered the Shelbyville, Indiana Walmart last night to buy a box fan. How about that?
What is interesting about the Shelbyville, Indiana Walmart? What time? First off, what time?
9:30.
Oh, then it's not real. It's not. Doesn't get real until after.
It closes at 11.
Oh, it closed. That's not 24 hours anymore. They don't do
It's
that.
one of those special market ones.
Okay.
Yeah, so they got to do all the restock on the food and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's nothing like, Chrissy and I were first married, and we lived by the LaGrange Walmart out in Oldham County.
Oh, how about that?
And we were there at 1 o'clock in the morning. Someone let a cow loose in the Walmart.
Inside.
Yeah, we're having a 4th of July party. So we're buying patio furniture. So we buy this patio furniture at Walmart, and we go and we got a Cougar hatchback. And I was like, how are we gonna get this home? And at 1:30 or so in the morning, we just threw it in the back of some dude's El Camino that we didn't know. I'm so lucky to be alive.
1:30 in the morning.
1:30 in the morning. That's what happened. And the random dude.
That's
El
why
Camino,
I laugh when people are like, "Do you remember the early years of our marriage? How glamorous and great they were?"
Yeah.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
I don't know. There's some good times though.
1:30 in the morning in a Chevelle
crappy
one.
Walmart.
God, no thanks.
See, my marriage was the exact opposite. Mine was great at the beginning and it's kind of fallen apart at the end.
Yeah, like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully Sherry's not listening there.
She's not.
But special thanks to Rachel and Eric and all the people, Tammy, all the people here at Horseshoe Indianapolis for having us back here, and we're so grateful. And the sun has come out after a very rainy morning. So what do you all think is going to be, what's the track going to be like today?
My sense is because they've taken them off the turf, Dan, early on,
Yep.
they're going to work that track a lot. We're going to get some sun. I think there's going to be some drainage. I'm going to guess Indiana Derby time, we're somewhere between good and muddy.
Yeah, I think you're right, especially if we don't get any more rain. Now, some of the people here were telling me later on in the day it's supposed to rain again. So hopefully that'll hold off until after the Derby.
Sometimes tracks tell on themselves.
Yep.
I'm being told we're running the 10th race on that turf, hell or high water. That's
Yeah.
literally. So that race is definitely happened as part of the cross-country pick 5 today.
Yeah, they basically said that when they were going over the scratches, that race is going to be on the turf. So they're going to do everything they can do to make sure that turf course is ready to go. All right, let's start the show off today since we have the illuminous Dan Issel here, and let's talk about.
Can we just do horse racing?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna talk.
I was worried
This
you were
is
going
kind of kick off like the second half of the year.
Okay.
We're through the first half of the year, and let's just kind of recap.
Okay.
What we've seen so far this year, and especially like who stands out, and we'll start with the Derby. We saw Mage win the Kentucky Derby. Good Magic gets a one of his crop win a Derby. Was this his second crop? Is that?
No, that's his first
That's
crop.
his first crop.
3-year-olds
Mage is
are
the
the
first,
first
yeah.
crop.
And he had 2 runners in the Derby
Yep.
and one that won it. I mean, craziness right there. Then we saw Mage kind of, I don't know if he just wasn't up to par or whatever in the Belmont.
in the Preakness.
I'm sorry, in the Preakness.
Yep.
Didn't run the Belmont. We're going to see him again later.
We'll see in Saratoga.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you all expect out of the Kentucky Derby winner for the rest of the year?
I liked him going into the Derby.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. I was just so sad that Forte got scratched because it hurt my price on Mage. It's hard to tell because the Preakness was a national treasure in my mind. Is not one of the top 10 3-year-olds in the country right now. And he won the Preakness because Johnny V put him on the lead and nobody went with him and he just kept going. So I'm not going to penalize Mage for that race. But I think the second half of the year, to me, is going to be more exciting than the Triple Crown races.
Yeah.
Because all of these horses are coming back. Unfortunately, 2 Phils won't be coming back, but the rest of them, Forte, Mage, all 4 of Brad's Derby horses are coming back. And so I think the Jim Dandy, the Travers, the Haskell, I think those are going to be outstanding races.
I actually think we got a really deep Indiana Derby today, even for that.
We have a fun Indiana Derby here, and we've got a horse, that's going to be the favorite here. He's probably going to take a ton of money too. Brad Cox is verifying here, Dan. I think class of the field, but track conditions, the fact that this horse seems to like to run second. These things do stand out a little bit, something that you and I talk about on our show. And, he's in here. It's interesting. We get another Kentucky Derby starter in Race Kane, who did finish, frankly, ahead of verifying in that Derby.
8th, right?
Yep. And then didn't love the track at Ellis in the Matt Wynn last out. We get those 2. You get the normal runners here, too. You get a Hayes Strike, who we talked about on because he ran and won in Maryland in the private terms in a black type ahead of the Preakness, comes back, wins the Texas Derby. Both of those on Lasix, Dan, though. Do you look at Lasix much when you're handicapping this kind of race?
Not really, because there are other ways to get around using Lasix.
Sure.
If you watch European races, when a horse wins a race and goes to the winner's circle, he drinks a bucket of water. That's because he hadn't had water for 24 hours,
right? Because
they can't use Lasix in Europe. So it helps. I'm not an anti-Lasix guy. I don't think it's a performance enhancer. I think it helps the horse. And so sure. I'm not one of these guys do away with Lasix, but I think there are other ways. If you can't use Lasix in these stake races, there are other ways to get around that.
All right, so let's keep on going with just the year in review. We mentioned National Treasure winning the Preakness. I mean, what do we expect out of that horse moving forward?
Well, that's what's interesting is he doesn't have to be a top 10 3-year-old to pick off some races in California.
Absolutely.
So if they take him back west, if he's running in 5-6 horse fields, he's got a great chance to win another graded 6.
Do you think we see him in the Breeders' Cup?
And later today at Los Alamitos, Skinner, who was scratched out of the Derby because of temperature, I think, and Reincarnate, the most hyped horse in the world, they run today at Los Alamitos. There's 2 horses that could be in the picture once we start talking about the champion 3-year-old. I don't think we've come close to deciding who the best 3-year-old is.
Yeah, that's actually I totally agree with that, Dan.
And you haven't even mentioned Arcangelo, who just, by the way, off the bench had a blistering workout at Saratoga the other day. He looks unbelievable. All the breeding there makes sense that he would have a good 3-year-old year. So no, I'm with you, Dan. I think that the second half of the year will determine 3-year-old of the year
on the male side and the female side.
Probably on both, unless Pretty Mischievous keeps it going. She's probably going to run away on the filly side, but on that 3-year-old male side for sure.
Yeah, she's the leader for sure right now. And if you thought her Oaks was something out of the ordinary, it was, because she came right back and reestablished that she was that good. So she might just keep going.
I also think that if you ask me, the class of horse that is kind of taking the first half of the year by storm has definitely been the sprinters, right? I mean, we've seen some incredible sprinters this year. Cody's Wish has just been amazing.
Well, in the victory ride today at Belmont Park, part of that cross-country pick 5, we're seeing, even in that 3-year-old filly class, Dan, just how quality is top to bottom. I mean, that Red Carpet Ready is pretty clearly not the class of the field. And you've got a horse like Maple Leaf Melon here. You've got some other ones in here that I really like. I'm interested to see if Dazzling Blue takes another step forward for Brad Cox under Flavian Pratt. Pratt, by the way, cannot miss at Belmont. It's really remarkable. Irad Ortiz is aboard. Interpolade, who's the one horse there for Chad Brown, coming off a little bit of a layoff, ran really well in the Beaumont last time out at Keeneland, right behind Key of Life. So interested to see that field as well. But he's right. You're right, Mike. That class, that sprinter class, as race 1 goes off here on Derby Day, track is wet, but it's not like they're splashing.
No, they're not splashing.
They're not splashing. No. So we'll see how that goes.
They did a great job on that track, considering how much rain we got. I mean, it was driving in here, it was brutal. I can't. So the track does look like it's moving pretty good. They sealed it early and got all the.
We'll see how much of that water, because I think I just saw standing water on that turf course. So we'll see what happens by the time we get to race 10. Yeah.
All right, so Lou, you were saying?
No, just this class. I mean, even Vava's in this race here, Dan. Ran on Oaks Day and won her race in an optional claimer at 6.5 furlongs in a $1.16. I mean, these are winnable times.
This race to me is the most fascinating race of the day, because there are 3 or 4 horses in here. I mean, Dazzling Blue has never been behind a horse.
Right.
Mel, what's the Mel?
Maple Leaf Mel?
Maple Leaf Mel has never been behind a horse. And there's some other speed in here. And so this is going to be a real puzzle doing the handicapping. Red Carpet Ready, I know she won a race at Gulfstream, but she seems to really be a Churchill Downs horse. I kind of like the horse that you mentioned, Chad.
Interpolate, yep.
Yeah, Chad Brown's horse. I think that's going to be my pick.
All right, so a lot of exciting racing going on today. Again, the Indiana and the Belmont are tied together in this cross country pick 5. We were talking about it.
First leg is here at 5:28.
3 of the legs are here. 2 legs in Belmont.
So 10, 11, 12 here, and then the 2 graded stakes back to back. Races 10 and 11 at Belmont today.
It's pretty amazing, though, Louis. I mean, this is the second year that the cross country pick 5 has included the races here at Indiana. This place has just really put itself on the map when it talks about
some Kentucky state senators just walked by. So how about that?
Oh yeah, okay. You know what? I don't know if I would even recognize the Kentucky state senator. So
I'll make Dan talk to them. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
We are.
Well, I mean, we got a 5-2 winner in the first race, so the favorite came home. It's not like people can't figure out the track today. So I think we're gonna have a fair day here. And I think it's going to drive a substantial amount, frankly, by the time, especially on the dirt side by the time we get there.
All right. Well, do we want to get into some handicapping?
Yeah, let's get
into a little bit of handicapping. All right. We're going to start with race 10 here, and it's the General Assembly Distaff Handicap. It is 1 mile and 16th on the turf. It's for fillies and mares, and it is that race that we were talking about. You know, will they be able to keep this on the turf, or will they not be able to keep it on the turf? Right now, it looks like we're going to be good to go. And scratches in this race. I thought I had them written down somewhere. I might have.
I'll get it out for you.
Yeah, I thought I had them. Unless I switched out papers. I don't know what happened.
Wanted to congratulate my buddy Scott on missing the first race already.
There it is. The
4 is scratched.
The 1 and the 4 are scratched out of the the
Princess Theorem is out of there. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then we're going to see Lasix on the 5 horse. First time Lasix here.
I want to thank the connections of Princess Theorem for scratching because I did not know what to do with her.
Oh,
so I appreciate them making that decision for me. Yeah, it's a nice thing that they did for me.
Who did you know what to do with, Lou?
Man, I put the 7 Lovely Princess on top here, Dan, coming in back-to-back solid performances this year. One was in a non-3 lifer at Keeneland. The last one out in the Kirtana at that very long distance at Churchill Downs. I think she's really going to like to cut back in distance here. If you don't know the turf course here, when they do start the 2-turn full route race, it's only 1 mile and 1/16, but you still get that full 2-turn race.
Right.
I think she'll like that. I think she's absolutely going to be part of the equation at the end. I know that other people are less into it, but I think getting Lasix back in this race does matter for her. And so I'll look for that to be part of it as well. Henrietta Topham, can you tell the story here? I'll let you go.
Yeah, this is a great story. Henrietta Topham is trained by Jeff Mulcahy. Now, Jeff's specialty is breaking yearlings and training layups. Brad Cox yesterday called it the pre-training. That's his specialty. He has a barn at the Thoroughbred Training Center in Lexington, over 50 horses, and he's always full. He breaks horses for Godolphin, for all of the big trainers, and that's his specialty. But for some reason, the people that own Henrietta Topham, he has a trainer's license, want him to train this horse. So he has started 3 horses this year. All 3 of them are Henrietta Topham, and he has won 2 of them. And so Jeff, and I met Jeff several years ago when he pre-trained one of my horses, and just a terrific guy, a great family. But he's hitting at 67%.
But this horse has a serious shot too.
To me, Louis, this looks like the mint julep all over again. Okay. That's what this race looks like to me. And there's enough speed. Sweet Danny Girl's going to want to be on the lead. Yep. I think it sets up perfect for Henrietta again.
The only one that I looked at, Mike, outside of that group was Fuente Ovejuna, the 11. Is Rafa Bejarano and a Brendan Walsh here.
Yep.
Interesting because Brendan Walsh has another runner in this race and has a am I thinking of the right race? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong race. Anyways, he brings in Rafa Bejarano to ride this horse, which I think is an interesting combination. The two of them do not get together very often.
Brendan Walsh has also had the one horse and the one scratched.
Yes. Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so he had Princess Theorem here. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Fuente Ovejuna here coming in 1-2 back at Churchill Downs at 1 mile and 1/16. Dan goes out, ships to Parks. who knows? I mean, look, you ship. The horse had a chance. It was right there. Gets caught at the wire, going a mile and a 16th. If he can get back to, Fuente de Ovejuna can get back to that form from Churchill Downs, I think has a serious shot here. Yep. 10-1 is a delightful number in a turf race over 2 turns.
Yeah, we'll take the British horse on 10-1 . Yeah,
with
Brendan Walsh.
It's soft to good in places.
Yes.
Did I do that right, Dan?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Has Brendan Walsh had a good year? I'm not sure.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good bet right there.
He has started to run up here a lot more, and much more intentionally with horses up here.
Hindi Woods, the winner of this race last year, with Mark Cassie.
We saw some winners last year. Hendy Woods, Ivar. I mean, there were some legit
horses here for sure. And there always are. I mean, this is a great.
But that was when, if people remember, Churchill had to shut down the turf course altogether last year. So for horses to get even $100,000 race, they had to come here for this day.
Because it looked like green cement at Churchill.
It didn't look like green cement. It was green cement. Yeah.
Did you actually see them out there with the spray cans?
I'm actually not supposed to talk about that.
You signed an NDA.
So. Can't talk about that either.
All right, we're going to move on to the one grade 1 on the card for the cross country pick 5, and that is the Belmont Derby Invitational. You hear the word Derby, that means it's for 3-year-olds. It's a $750,000 race, 1.25 miles on the turf for 3-year-olds. Louis, let's start with Dan.
Okay.
Dan, who did you like here?
I like the horse on the bottom. When I
Foxes,
when I handicap, I move European horses up a grade.
Okay.
So in other words, if they want a grade 2, that's a grade 1 to me in America.
Okay.
A grade 3 becomes a grade 2. The Foxes won a grade 2 start before last, and then last time out in the Epsom Derby ran 5th, but behind a horse that is probably the best 3-year-old in Europe. That horse,
Auguste Rodin,
won the Irish Derby and the English Derby. And I read something.
6 of those ever, 8 of those ever. And they've been running those races for a couple hundred years. I mean, to sweep those races.
Yeah, what Aidan O'Brien is doing. That was the Irish Derby. Listen to this. The Irish Derby was Aidan O'Brien's 100th classic win.
Wow. Not too
100 classic win. It's just stupid. And I read something from the trainer, Andrew Baldwin, about this horse, and he said this horse didn't want 1.5 miles.
Right.
And he still ran just 8 1/4 lengths behind. So I think the Foxes sticks out here.
Do you ever worry though, of like first time in the United States, first time traveling across?
Not really, because all of these big stables now in Europe have their own airplanes, and they fly horses all over the world. And so, I mean, it'd be like you taking a 6-hour car ride.
Yeah,
I mean,
which I pretty much did today.
I don't think it makes that much difference.
Yeah. All right.
Your car was probably cooler than our hotel room.
I guarantee it was.
By the way, Andrew Baldwin is the trainer of record here. His last grade 1 was actually was at Woodbine in the EP Taylor Stakes in a grade 1. So he's won a grade 1 before.
Yeah.
So it isn't as though he's and look, you don't fly Murphy in for no reason as a jock. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I do think if you're going to go with American side, I mean, Colic is here 3 straight. That's Irad and Chad, if you've heard that combination before.
On the turf?
No. Chad Brown's never won this race.
Really?
How about that?
Okay.
Would you have guessed that?
No, but no, I wouldn't have guessed
Yeah.
it. But this race isn't that old.
No, it isn't.
I'm going to guess it's
Still,
4, 5, 6 years old.
Don't
But
you think he would
but
have
if it's a
one of the
grade
first
1,
5?
if it's a grade 1 on the grass in New York,
He was pretty
yeah.
good.
If
They're hitting
it's 2 years old and Chad hasn't won it, it's an upset.
Good enough reason, 39% of Belmont recently, the two of them. Web Slinger, you and I have talked about a lot, frankly, has won 2 great straight graded stakes, including that grade 2 American Turf at Churchill Downs, which I think until this race, Dan, was the best collection of 3-year-old turf runners in the United States.
And I'm still kicking myself because it cost me the pick 5 on Derby Day, Web Slinger, and I should have had it when you go back and look.
He's also won or been within 2 lengths of the winner in all of his last 5 races. So he's always right there. I love including horses like that, Dan, that are at least part of the equation at the end. Castellano right now is out of his mind, having one of the great seasons of a jockey in recent memory. I listed 8 horses here, man. I mean, would we be stunned if redistricting wins here, the 10? a second timer for Chad Brown?
No.
Would we be totally shocked that Bapio, who won the Jersey Derby last out, adds a little bit of distance here with Luis Saez?
Nope.
Would that be so shocking? How about Far Bridge? Ran second between Webslinger and Colic the last 2 stakes runs with Jose Ortiz. Would we think it's crazy there? Silver Knot was favored in his last race.
Are you telling me this is an all for
this feels like an all for
cross country pick 5?
It feels like that.
Wow. Okay.
But the problem is the next race feels like that too. There are a lot of fillies in the next race that I really like.
You can't bet every one of them.
It's
in
tough,
every
man.
race.
No, that's right.
That might be
Wizard
a big
of Westwood's
ticket.
coming. Wins a black type at Santa Anita. Is coming to Belmont. Is going to try to set the pace here. Last year, we saw Classic Causeway do exactly that. Just ran away with that.
Yeah.
Did I steal everything?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Classic Causeway.
Yeah.
Kenny McPeak.
No.
Julian Leperoux.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
I'm just wondering, can Wizard of Westwood do what Classic Causeway did last year? I think he can. That's kind of what's wild about this race.
Yeah.
But I'm with Dan. If you want to go class, you grab the 11, you walk away from this.
Did
race.
you ever have any Wizard of Westwood stories? Any good John Wooden stories?
No.
No.
Did
he recruit you?
I got a letter from him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going that far away to school.
Yeah.
Not back then.
But and of course the year ahead of me, they
had some good bids.
Yeah, they signed a guy by the name of Lou Alcindor. I
Yeah.
think. I don't know whatever happened to him, but they
I heard
they
he came
felt
I hope things worked out for him.
they felt they were pretty well set at the center position.
Did you ever be garden Kareem and be like, I would have taken your playing time at UCLA?
No. I didn't want to get Kareem stirred up.
Listen, I understand that you went to UCLA where you all had the easy route to the Final Four, kind of thing. So, yeah. Did you ever get to check out the Bill Walton 30 for 30? I know that was a
no. I need to do that. I have not done it. But
I haven't done it either yet.
I talked to my grandson who said you have to watch it.
All right. Well, there you go. That's all the Wizard of Westwood talk we're getting. It's pretty awesome.
I appreciate you stalling while I hand my phone to our producer, who's been nice enough to
Did you take a picture?
fly in from Texas. No, we're just coordinating with Duca, make sure that he knows where to go.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All
We're
right.
just trying to be good hosts here.
Doing the best we can. All right, let's talk about this Indiana Oaks that we got coming up, which, again, I think we've got 3 really good horses in this race. We're going to scratch the one Cotton Candy Annie.
It's a good name for a horse, by the way.
Cotton Candy Annie? Yeah?
Yeah.
I would think it would be a race caller's nightmare.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're also going to have a couple horses that are off Lasix. This is the conversation you just had, Louis. I definitely think when they come off Lasix, it seems to make a little bit of a difference. And that is the last 2 horses on the card, the 7 and the 8 are off Lasix.
Yep.
So, but is it going to matter? I mean, the winner here is going to come out most likely out of Tax, Merlazza, or Defining Purpose, right?
I don't. Dan and I both don't think Defining Purpose has.
I'm chucking.
I agree.
Defining Purpose.
The reason, and we talked about it, for me was that Ashland is that first finish line at Keeneland.
Okay.
And she was begging for it.
Okay.
I hate to say that out loud. I apologize for saying that as much as I did.
We don't have a mixtape.
And so, no, we don't. But that first one, it's not like Malathat when she won the Ashland and they just, they put her in, she was ready to go another full furlong and a half. So, well, it's a different kind of thing there. I think Taxed is by far and away in the best form of anyone coming into this race.
Yeah.
The 2 horse here. We talked to Brad Cox yesterday on our show, and he talked about Merlazza, and he feels strongly that she's going to show well here because he has, frankly, simplified her life, it sounds like.
And he said he thought that he ran her back too quick. If you look at that, she ran every 3 or 4 weeks, just boom, 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 boom. And I think that 1.8 miles of Black Eyed Susan might have been a little too far for her. So.
I'll tell you what, if you get 6-1 on Merlazza with Brad Cox, how good Brad Cox has been this race.
Yeah.
That seems like it's almost too good to be true. So, Louis.
Yeah, so I have Taxed on top here. I think that sometimes you just have to, and we saw it last year, Interstate Daydream wins the Black Eyed Susan, shows up here from Pimlico, goes ahead, runs a huge race, and I think that we'll get Taxed on top there. We did talk, like I said, to Brad Cox yesterday. He thinks that by simplifying a little bit of what she has been doing, just a little bit too much travel, having to go to Pimlico, having to be at different places, running at Oaklawn, after Fairgrounds, just a lot of different spots. Giving her that 5-6 weeks of just being in one spot, being in a stable situation, getting her up here, I think that she'll be ready as well.
All right. I've been begging for someone to talk Reds baseball with me. We actually have a baseball guy next to us. All right, you're a horse racing guy now. I
No,
guess,
he is a
Paul.
horse racing guy. Yeah.
Paul LaDuca, welcome to the show. Oh, I got to turn
Wait a
Paul's
second.
microphone on.
You have to introduce him like Todd Schrump used to. 4-time Major League All-Star. Paul
we got a basketball Hall of Famer on one end, and we got a 4-time Major League All-Star on the other end. Louis, this is where this show is now.
I'm 5'10".
I got elevator shoes on. So there's a man over there that could absolutely fill up the hoop. I remember him watching him play. So I really appreciate it. And talking about the Reds, I was down at Churchill Downs covering obviously the racing there. And I actually went to a Louisville back game and got to see Ellie De La Cruz play before they called him up. And wow. I mean, listen, there was a couple guys when I played in the minor leagues, like I remember it was one specific guy where it just made a different sound off his bat. And that was Vladimir Guerrero Sr.
Yeah.
When he just hit the ball, I mean, it just sounded like an explosion. And he hit a ball in Louisville. I was like, oh my God, the ball. It landed at Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse, and he can run like a gazelle. I'm telling you, he reminds me of a kind of a Deion Sanders with more baseball skills. The Reds are very, very exciting, and you should be excited about it.
I am listening on the radio every night.
And they got they got the next Randy Johnson if the kid can stay healthy, low to low. And a lot of people don't even know who he is. And and Hunter Green is hurt too. But if Nick and Hunter come back,
get both those guys back in August.
There you go.
And then this Abbott kid who's ended up being a really good starting pitcher for them as well. He didn't get the win last night, but he's given solid innings. And Dan Issel could care less.
I know, right?
No, I know. I'm on the bandwagon.
You know what it is, Dan? I'm kind of a purist. They're the original 8. The Reds should be good.
Yeah.
It's a baseball city.
It's baseball city.
It's a baseball city. It really is.
Exactly.
It's kind of been fun to watch because I was kind of comparing that. Like the excitement when the Reds are good is just different than when the Bengals have been good lately, right?
Yeah,
but
true.
That city wants the Reds to be good, and
they do.
And they should be. And for me, Paul, talking about that throwback, they're kind of doing it the old school, like in the '80s kind of way, like with bunts and stealing bases.
Wow, manufacturing runs. What a thing, right?
It's been a lot of fun.
I mean, some of these kids, it's a different ball game. And I wonder if I would be able to play. I was a guy that was a 10 home run guy. I had one year, I had 480 at bats. I only struck out 30 times. These guys struck out 30 times in a month. So it's different, but you got to understand, I did my role. I was a number 2 hitter. So what Dave Roberts was my leadoff hitter or Jose Reyes was my leadoff hitter, my job was to get them to second or third for the big boys. That's how you manufacture runs.
Yeah.
So whenever Reyes or those guys hit a double, push bunt, let's be up 1-0. As soon as you put the other team in a hole and you're down 1-0 early, you always put another team in press mode. And that's the way they're kind of doing it. And like I said, like I told you, they're very athletic. And you're looking at a lot of teams in MLB right now. They're not. I mean, I'm a Met fan.
Yeah.
Daniel Vogelbach should not be in a uniform. Let's be honest. He looks like the Michelin Man.
All right, there it is. Well, let's talk.
I saw you talk about a changing game, and we'll stop the baseball talk here. I apologize to everyone who's watching. I'm kidding. The Luis Arias is flirting with 400. He's already faced more pitchers this year than Tony Gwynn did in any full season of his career.
That's pretty crazy.
Because of just the specialized pitchers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't get to see a guy third time through the lineup anymore.
No,
for him to be hitting like that is really
it's unbelievable because you make a great point. You could go either way.
Sure.
If you see a guy for the third time that's kind of a finesse pitcher, you're going to bang him around. But then you get that guy where you had him in trouble in the first inning. Now you got to face him in the 6th inning.
Yeah.
He's gotten a little tougher.
Right.
Dan's played against a lot of guys. Warm up a little. I'm sure Larry was a little bit like that, like warm up a little bit, and then, you know what, let me throw the dagger in your heart here in the second half. Dan, you know that too. So there were certain guys like that. A guy like John Smoltz, if you didn't get him early, he was going to dominate you late. Yeah. So
although that seems to be the trend in baseball, is like they don't let people stick around to see them the third time through the lineup. Like, what the average start right now is like 5 innings.
Well, everybody's had an arm injury, and I look back at it, I'm like, Nolan Ryan probably tore his shoulder 3 times. But they just pitched through it. Remember, Nolan just took 2 Advil. You remember that commercial? 2 Advil and throw 9 innings.
Just beat the crap out of Robin Ventura. So, all right,
Who beats Tax in the Oaks today?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually had bet Hoosier Philly because that day Hoosier Philly, Tom Amos is one of my close friends, and he had told me this was just one of the best horses he'd ever had, even beyond Serengeti Empress. And then she had flipped her palate, which means for a lot of people who don't know, she couldn't breathe and she was having trouble breathing. And her last race, he was really pumped out of race. And, Tax went right by her. I thought they both, ran very well to the wire. I do think it's a legit race, and I think she's going to be tough to beat.
Okay. Yeah, we were there for that blackout season, so it was, definitely a great race. All right, we're going to move back to Belmont now. I'm trying to pull everything tight here, big guy. All right, so we're going back to the Belmont for the next phase of the cross-country Pick 5, and this is the Grade 3 victory ride, the race you kind of were talking about a little bit earlier, Louis. It is race 11 at Belmont. It's 6.5 furlongs on the dirt for 3-year-old fillies, $175,000 purse. I know you kept your hand a little bit, but Dan, who do you like in this race?
I'm gonna go with the one horse. There's just so much speed in this race. There are 3 horses in here that hadn't been behind a horse in their lifetime. I'm pulling for Rusty Arnold, who has a Red Carpet Ride. Actually trained Victory Ride, the horse that this race is named after.
Oh, that's right.
And so I'm pulling for Rusty, but to get a little price, I'm going to take Chad on the one horse.
All right, Chad and Irad on the one. You cannot beat that at 5-1.
Just because, Mike, I think that's the one filly in here that looks like she can close a little bit.
Absolutely.
Could be a cool story for Melanie Giddings, who you mentioned in a conversation off air, is getting out on her own here, gets to bring along a great horse like Maple Leaf Mel, who's the 5 in that race there as well. Red Carpet Ready, you mentioned earlier, is this a horse that's going to run well outside of Churchill Downs, or is this one that's really only specialized there? Daz Blue, the 2 here for Brad Cox, is that horse ready to take that step forward in graded company like this against, frankly, horses that have won graded stakes before? And I agree with Dan, that one in interpolate between that, coming off that layoff, that's what Chad Brown does, I think, as well as anyone, is gets horses back into big spots, Paul, off a layoff. He knows how to place those horses in those spots.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Him and Bob and Baffert, when they take the blinkers off or put them back on after a win, or they make a little bit of a shakeup, or you see a horse run very, very green, they usually correct it very quickly. So I understand where you're going there. I do think Maple Leaf Mel is going to be very, very tough to beat in there. I do think Topsy's got a big shot for Steve Asmussen. His horse is starting to fire at Belmont a little bit more, and Steve's horse is starting to come around. I think a lot of people don't realize he's really loaded in the sprint division. Rivet, since he's put blinkers on, has become a very good sprinter, and he's got another one named Skelly that he's kind of laid up since Oaklawn, and he's waiting for that one to come back, who's lightning fast. So I think the Breeders' Cup Sprint is going to be really fast paced, but I do think Topsy, I'll take a shot there, 12-1. I don't think you'll get 12-1. You'll probably get like 6 or 7-1, somewhere in that area.
Okay, well, there's a little bit of a price on that top score, so you'll like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so we've started doing this segment on the show called Horse Racing 101, and so I don't want to miss I know we don't have it on the show sheet, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to tell Paul last year. We met Paul last year at this race, and we were talking about the glamorous lifestyle that Paul lives. Paul, you're a TV personality.
So you're
four-time
talking about
four-time Major League Baseball All-Star.
So you're talking about the Red Bull I got at the Holiday Inn Express Suites, the life I'm living.
Yeah. And when's the last time you saw
Paul,
your family?
did you have air conditioning last
Yeah,
night?
but
Well,
I also, Dan, I also had heart surgery because I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I did heart surgery on somebody.
but truly, give a little taste of your story about how you got involved into the TV side of horse racing.
Well, it's a crazy story because I had the end of 2008. I had needed knee surgery, so a lot of teams were staying away. It was one of those things where, okay, you're going to have to sign the guy, then give him the knee surgery. He's going to have to sit out, depending on when they were going to sign me. So I really couldn't find a job in 2009. I got the knee surgery, and I kind of just rested up a little bit. And I went on the Belmont show, actually, for TVG at the time. And it went well. And at that time, it was Tony Olivato who was running TVG. And then I tried to make a comeback in 2010 with the Rockies, and I had made the team. And I was in really great shape, and they asked me to catch. And the second last game of spring training, Ichiro goes to steal second, and my arm went with it. It was like I always tell everybody, it's like the end of the Blues Brothers. When the car just falls apart?
Yes.
That's what ended up happening in my body. I just walked off the field, and everybody was telling me, wait a second, what's going on? And I remember I just put my hand, like my neck, saying I'm done. My arm like completely fell off. I tore every ligament in it and this and that. And I didn't want to get the surgery. I was like, listen, I just want to get out of here. I was so depressed. I knew my career was kind of over. And, I always was told that I'm going to stop till they take the jersey off my back. They had to. I mean, I couldn't even roll it back to the pitcher. So I just went home and they offered me a job. I called them back up. They offered me a job. I started at Monmouth. And I thought, okay, here I am going to start doing some baseball after that. And I did. I started doing some ESPN stuff. I started doing some college baseball. But when everything got a little bit bigger, the college baseball regionals end up on Belmont weekend. Okay, you can't be doing that anymore. So then it's now full time. And I never thought, 14, 13 years later, I'd still be doing this, to be honest with you.
Paul, I think we have a mutual friend. Did you not live in the same complex when you were in L.A. with Mike Smith?
Yeah. Mike might have told you that story, how we became friends. I always tell it all the time. First of all, he won't admit it, but he hit on my wife at the gym. And that's how this all started, right? And me and Mike are great. We're best of friends, but we talk about this all the time because he came up to her, and then my ex-wife, we get along great. Okay, everybody out there, we get along just fine. I have an 18-year-old daughter, just graduated high school.
Oh, how about that? All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
and so my ex-wife recognized him, goes, wait a second, you Mike Smith? He goes, yes. He goes, well, my husband, is the catcher for the Dodgers, Paulie D. He goes, no way. So we ended up becoming friends.
Sure.
And he came to a couple games back and forth. Well, like, we go out to dinner and end up finding out we're having conversation. I'm like, hey, you know what? Somebody in our complex keeps complaining above us or below us that we're making too much noise, this and that. I've had to go downstairs, this and that. He goes, well, what are you in? He goes, I'm in 272. I go, I'm in 372. So what ended up happening was I was coming home late at night after Dodger games. By the time you wind down, it's midnight.
Oh, sure.
Mike's sleeping. He's got to get up at 4 a.m. to work horses. I'm stomping up and down. He was complaining about me. So he comes up to knock on the door and he looks right at me. And we just started laughing. And from that time on, we were bringing wine to each other. We became best friends. Yeah.
In 1986, Mike rode. I had a filly that I wanted to get some black type, and we chartered. He was riding at Turfway Park. Just coming up through the ranks. We chartered a jet, flew to St. Louis, and he rode a filly for me at Fairmount Park in a $25,000 stake race. And if he hit that filly once, he hit her 30 times down the stretch. And we beat Donnie Brumfield and a Claiborne horse by about that much.
Yep.
And so
that was one thing that was great about Mikey. When he rode for his friends, I had a horse named Tough Negotiator. I still have the video. I showed it to Mikey. I go, how did you get this horse home? He hit the horse 40 times on the way home. And he's like, it was for you. Anybody else? I thought I was going down, but that's Mikey. And he always got that little smile on his face. He's got the cutest smile. And he's so happy. He just got married and he's just in a great place. And I'm happy for Mike. He's picking his spots, but he's getting towards, his retirement. But I'm happy that after his bad injury at Belmont, he was able to reestablish himself back to being the great jockey that he was,
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to that Indiana Derby, which is the star of the show. Thanks for sharing all that great stuff with us, Paul. But we'll get back to horse racing. $300,000 on the table for race 12, which is the Indiana Derby. All right, Verifine's going to take a ton of money here. I think we all know that. He's coming back after the Kentucky Derby. We talked a little bit about Ray's Cane earlier. We talked a little about Hayes Street. I think this race could be completely wide open, and I get Verifine here.
Okay.
Who's with me?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, I will say you this. Disarm is I would say 3 to 5 lengths faster on a sloppy race. He's a gun runner. He runs hard. I'll make this prediction. I do think Disarm will be the best 4-year-old out of the group.
Okay.
He's big. He's strong. Every time I talk to Steve, he always comes back to Disarm. Now,
and if he develops like his dad, that he's going to be great as a 4 and 5-year-old.
100%.
Right.
And if you ever watch, he runs with his head out a little bit. I wish he'd run a little lower, but Steve goes, he just tries really hard. He'll run through a brick wall, and that's just the way he is. But that's a lot of races. He's come back from the Derby, didn't run well. He drew a bad spot. I get it. And, did he beat a suspect field? I thought he should have won the Breeders' Futurity. I thought Gaffalione put a little bit too much pressure early. If he would have laid off that other horse, he wins, and Tapit Trice never goes by him.
Right.
So when you look at that kind of race, you wonder, can anybody stay with him early? You do have some other horses in here, and Georgie W. and some others, but the other part about this, Marcelino Pedrosa is not a guy that sends.
No, I'm with you.
And sometimes he can get in a horse's own way that has natural speed. I'm not saying he's not a bad rider. I just think he's better from when he's a tiny bit off the pace.
It's interesting that Brad went to him for this race, for the Oaks, for other things on the card today. So there was clear intent with getting him in the mounts, right? And so I'm with you a little bit on that. I don't know that Verifying is going to let him hold it. I think he's just going to try to get this spot, and he's just going to go do it.
I agree. I just that the other horse here, I do think the Cherie DeVaux horse is a live horse. Her horses are running.
Yep.
She's a descendant of Chad Brown. This horse has been winning all over the place. And one thing about Cherie, she doesn't let her owners influence her of going places unless the horse has a shot. I remember her always telling me that I don't want to enter a horse in a stakes race if I'm going to be 50-1. I want to be 10-1 or under because I want to have a shot.
Interesting.
So, and I think this horse off the layoff has got a big shot to run a big race.
I think once the Louisiana Derby happened, if you look at how she has paced his year and spread things apart, they were pointing for this here or Iowa or something, right? They wanted a grade 3 at this time of year, I think.
I mean, listen, we just forget I know Danny's got some. Do we need this horse to go by for you, Danny?
Yes, we do.
Let's go.
Five. Come on, Five, get up.
Let's go. Get him up. Get him up.
Let's go. Come on.
Get up. Don't hang like a chandelier. No. He hung like that curveball Andy Ashby threw me. When you look at this race, Hayes Strike.
Yeah.
I get where a lot of races, a lot of experience for Kenny McPeak, but I mean, Kenny McPeak, is he the most flip the coin trainer you ever seen in your lifetime?
I don't think it's a question.
It's so hard to single him. You don't know when they're going to run and then he'll get on fire for weeks after week. So to me, he's like the toughest.
The other
trainer
one
to read out
is
there.
Mike Maker switching surfaces. Like, I feel like he wins a lot of those races, but never when I bet it.
Kind of, yeah. I can see where you're going.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike Maker, a lot of people he's so quiet.
Yeah.
I got the best out of Ed Churchill. He's closet funny guy. Yeah, we were throwing. He's a real big prankster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were throwing pranks on Serling, pranks on some other people. I told him that I sent him a postcard. He said, "Thank you very much." He sent me a postcard, and he doesn't really like anybody else from Naira. It was actually a really great interview. He's actually closet pretty funny, but he's got that this blank stare on his face. You know what I mean?
Paul, when you interview him, you better have 10 questions ready because you get 3-word
So
answers.
I learned my lesson. I go to the Spiral Stakes, and it had to be my 3rd year, so I'm really raw on television. And it was like, Mike, how's it going? Good. So you're running, I think at the time it was International Star. I might be way off here. How's International Star doing? Doing well. Where do you think you're going to sit in this race?
Just off the pace.
Wherever the jockey sits. So now I'm like getting in my ear. Okay, last question. I'm like, last question. This has been like 7 seconds. What pointed you to this race? The owners.
Back to you.
So finally, I said, "You're kidding me. You got me out here. How's this horse doing?" Oh, did he laugh? And ever since I said that to me, but he killed me, and I was joking around. He kind of took it back and he joked around with me. He's just, I think a lot of people take it. He's not comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
He's just the way he is. Yeah.
Okay, so I actually think you can make a now, especially with the 6 being scratched out, I think you can make a case for every horse in this race. I honestly feel like the case to be made.
Well, hold on. What do you think the track's going to? You think the track will be good fast by the Derby?
I think it'll be at least good. I think it's going to be.
So what happened? Okay, you guys know more here. When it starts drying, does it get tiring or does it get?
Well, it hasn't mattered recently. So the last 2 weeks here, if you're in the front when at the top of the stretch, you're winning the
You're
race.
tough to get.
You're
tough
gonna
to
win
go
the
by.
race.
Now, what about the turf? Well, obviously with the rain, it might play different today.
It's going to play way different
Yeah.
than we've been watching for sure. The only thing I'll say about this race, Georgie W. the 9 is going to hit the board in the Indiana Derby.
Yeah, I think that
That horse is hitting the board.
That's the
Alex
local
Ashard
horse.
knows this place. He is riding really, really well. Last time out, goes against winners for the first time, wins by 9 lengths. Before that, breaks his maiden on the turf. They immediately move him to dirt. He's good to go. I just think he's the kind of horse that just wants to run, and I think he's absolutely going to get a check today.
I can't argue with you. Listen, I was taught 2 things in life: never take a tip from somebody that's a 12 to 1 or 25 to 1. You always throw them in, and never throw out an undefeated horse. And it's just something I've always stood by. So I take people's opinions. I'm with you. Verifying is 4 to 5.
Oh, right now he's well.
What do you think? What do you think by this when they spring the latch?
Even
4 to
money.
5.
Even money.
Even money. I think
Even money.
sounds about right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then where does Hay Strike sit? 7 to 2, 9 to 2, somewhere in that area.
I
It
would
goes
agree.
up a little bit.
Yeah. I don't.
And
think
Race
he's 3 to
Kane
1.
comes down a little bit just because
Yep.
everybody's
6
going
to
to see
1
those
because he was in
lines,
the
right?
Derby. He was in the Derby.
Because he's in the Derby,
Yeah,
right?
Finished 8th. I mean, respectable, right?
Anybody on Act the Fool?
Well, after full scratch
He
out,
scratched.
Oh, he scratched.
Yeah.
Okay,
that would have been one though that I think
that would at least bug
Yeah.
Verifying for a little while.
sure.
Oh, I bet they're kicking themselves now that we have a yielding turf course that he's not one of the grass races
Right.
today.
I will say this:
Man, oh,
I've
man,
cashed
it was
out
great
on
last
the on what's it? Henriette Topman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Henry at the top of it.
Oh my God, she's been good to me. Hey, right now, she keeps on coming, and I'll tell you, if there's cut in the ground, it's going to help her out even more. So, I think she's going to be a handful. She's in really good form right now. She's beaten 2 really good
Yep.
fields. She got ignored last time. He's got her in really good form.
Dan was saying he thinks that could be a replay of that mid-julep.
I'm actually with Dan, and you know Churchill, like the turf course played so kind of funky, and this and that, and this horse can stay all day. So if it is a tiny bit yielding and horses get tired, no problem for Henry Topman.
go.
There.
Cool.
Dan, who do you like in this Indiana Derby?
Well, I'm a chalk eater. I think Verifying lays over this field. I mean, Verifying, throw out the Derby because he goes to the half in 45 and 3. This is a legitimate grade 1 horse. And I agree with Paul. If anybody's going to beat him, I'm on the 8 horse because, if you look at that in the Louisiana Derby, Kings Barnes, just got out there and galloped around the track. And if you put a line through that race, I know they're allowance races, but the horse has been right there. So I think Verifying stands out, and I like the 8 horse second.
Okay, Louis, who's your official pick?
Yeah, I'll go with Verifying as my official pick here.
You're gonna go Verifying. Okay, so no one's with me. So who's your official pick, Paul?
You know what? I'll go with the Italian horse.
Nice,
Yeah.
the 8.
Yeah. I think
Paisano.
it's the Italian. Sicilian Paisano.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Silent like the G in Cagliostro.
Cagliostro.
Huh?
Cagliostro.
That's a Cal joke. A little Calipari joke at the end of the hour. How about
By the way,
that?
the horse that this horse lost to last time, Scotland, I know is very,
Yeah.
very well regarded horse. This horse is gonna have to step up. You guys are all right. Verifying, Dan's right. Verifying lays over the field. I mean, it's his race to lose. So,
Paul, is Scotland a Mott horse? Is that
Yes.
a Bill? Yeah.
Yeah. Bill's got them all loaded. I'm telling you right now, Bill's got that filly by Close Hatches. I'm proclaiming. I think you pronounce it Sclla, Cecilia. It's a tap it at Close Hatches, and she's won twice. Oh my God, she's the next superstar. She's a 3-year-old filly.
Okay,
I'm telling you.
There you go.
Cecilia.
Close Hatches, little baby.
Nice, love it. All right. Anything else to
It's time to get out of here.
Let's go. We're gonna
All
pay
right.
the tab. We're gonna get out of here.
Wow, pay the
Thanks
tab.
for watching.
You
There's
don't
no
have that
real
much
tab.
pull?
No, yeah. Rachel takes care of us. We're good.
It's just
something we say
on the show.
Horse racing happy hour. We're gonna pay the tab and get out of here.
Thanks to
for
Paul.
watching. Thanks for
Thanks,
Paul,
guys. Thanks for
Dan.
having me.
I mean, seriously, this is pretty awesome to have a Major League Baseball All-Star, Basketball Hall of Famer, all come to Shelbyville, Indiana,
And me.
and we'll all be at BW3s later.
That's true.
So, all right,
We'll see you.
we'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening.